a very warm welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from Kyiv in Ukraine. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has concluded his historic visit to Kyiv, Ukraine, and his interaction with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Just a short while back, we spoke to the Ukrainian President, and over the course of the next 1 hour on this special broadcast from Ukraine, we get you the highlights of the Prime Minister's visit and the conversation that Indian media had with the Ukrainian President.
Modi's historic diplomatic leap. Prime Minister Modi's double diplomacy. India's message for peace and dialogue.
Tomorrow is your National Day. It's a very important day, and on my own behalf and on behalf of the 1.4 billion people of India, I convey my very best wishes to you, and I hope and I pray for peace and prosperity of Ukraine.
Modi-Zelensky bonhomie on display. Handshake, hug, and honoring humanity. Top focus on India first. Gaurav Sawant, live from Kyiv.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Kyiv as historic. After his conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which incidentally was scheduled for about 30 minutes but lasted almost 3 hours, more than 2 hours and 30 minutes, President Zelensky said the two leaders discussed a huge range of issues. He seemed to indicate that sky is the limit for India-Ukraine cooperation. When Indian journalists spoke to him, he said that as far as India-Ukraine relationship was concerned, from agriculture to defense to cutting-edge technology, Ukraine was willing to cooperate with India on every aspect. In response to my question on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit and also on what Ukraine expected from India as a peacemaker, listen in to what the Ukrainian president said.
Good afternoon, President Zelensky. My name is Gaurav Sawant. I work for India Today and Aaj Tak in India. How would you describe your meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi? What is your roadmap for peace, and what role do you see for India in achieving that aim, especially when India speaks for the global south, for the developing countries? This war impacts all. And may I request you, sir, in case you could answer this in English for our audiences, or bits of this, please?
Thank you for coming, Gaurav. Yes, thank you for your question. So, first of all, a really very good meeting, and this historic one, and for us it's very important that the first Prime Minister from your very big country in the century of high technologies and be very open during the war. We increased the level of our private companies, especially this kind of high technology and drones, sea drones, security, cyber security, and etc. And I said to Prime Minister, we'll be very ready to share with you these products, and we'll be happy if it can be co-production, and etc. And of course that we decided that our teams will begin to work on different issues. On it. So that's, I think during the war this role is also very important, because we need to strengthen our economy. If we are speaking about global role, because you have global influence, very big country, very big population, and that's why, and very big influence on Russian economy. Today you have it, and it's true, because really a lot of export possibilities for Russia closed, but India is open. We spoke about it with Prime Minister. Of course, it helps today for Russian army. And I think that government of India, of course, understands it. And of course, we will be happy to work how to find alternatives. Because it's not about, again, we're a big country, it's not about millions, it's about billions which are coming back, which Putin has back to Russia, and then he uses it only, because he has now really, officially, he has now war economy.
The Ukrainian president said that he was keen to visit India. He was seeking a key to the Indian people, to interacting even more with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He described India as a very important player on the world stage today, not only because of India's population, but because of India's position in the world. And he hoped that India would not be equidistant both from Ukraine and from Russia. He hoped that India would reduce its dependence on Russian oil, because he said that would quickly bring this war to an end. He, of course, conceded he did not have a solution in mind of what developing countries could do if they were not to take oil from Russia at this stage. But this conversation will go on. He said he would like to visit India very soon and carry forward the gains made in this historic visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We get you more in this report.
हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Ukraine visit underscores India's commitment to global peace. In his bilateral meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Modi sent out a clear and consistent message: war is not the solution.
Obviously, much of the discussion was spent with regard to the war in Ukraine. Most recently, he emphasized that the solution will not come out of the battlefield.
During their talks, Prime Minister Modi reiterated where India stands in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. India stands on the side of peace.
इस प्रकार की मदद की आवश्यकता होगी. भारत हमेशा आपके साथ खड़ा रहेगा और 2 कदम आगे चलेगा. हम न्यूट्रल नहीं थे. हम पहले दिन से ही पक्षकार रहे हैं और हमारा पक्ष है शांति का.
An emotional Modi told Zelensky that killing of children in conflict was not acceptable, emphasizing the need for dialogue and diplomacy.
आपके साथ जाकर के अपने श्रद्धा सुमन अर्पित कर रहा था तो मेरा मन भर आया था. दिल को गहरी चोट पहुंची थी. और मुझे लगता है कि युद्ध की सबसे पहली कैजुअलिटी किसकी होती है तो निर्दोष बालकों की होती है.
Prime Minister Modi also thanked President Zelensky for helping Indian students leave when the war broke out.
युद्ध के प्रारंभिक दिन थे. भारत के हजारों बच्चे जो यहाँ शिक्षा के लिए आए थे, पढ़ने के लिए आए थे, वो युद्ध के कारण फंसे हुए थे. उनको बाहर निकालने में आपने जो मदद की, इसके लिए मेरी तरफ से, मेरे देश के 140 करोड़ नागरिकों की तरफ से और उस संकट की घड़ी से निकल करके आए हुए उन बच्चों के, उनके परिवारजनों की तरफ से आपका आज मैं हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं.
The two countries signed 4 MOUs aimed at strengthening ties. India handed over Bharat Health Initiative for Sahyog Hita and Maitri or Bhishma medical boxes to Ukraine as medical assistance. With Gaurav Sawant from Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
But the most viral image of the day was the warm embrace, the hug between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. As the Ukrainian President showed images of the horrors of war to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of Ukrainian children killed in combat in this war that's been on for over 900 days, Prime Minister Narendra Modi affectionately put an arm around the Ukrainian President. And that sent out a very strong message. There had been criticism from some quarters, including from the Ukrainian president, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Russia on the 8th of July and had hugged the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Today, of course, President Zelensky clarified the criticism was not of that hug. The criticism was of the attack that took place on the super specialty, multi-speciality hospital here in Kiev, where children lost their lives. And according to President Zelensky, this indicated that President Putin was either not in control of his armed forces or was deliberately trying to send across a message. But let me get you that report of the story of two hugs. One in Russia on the 8th of July and the other here in Ukraine on the 23rd of August. Both truly a historic event.
An image sending ripples across the world. An elder statesman with a wartime president. Indian Prime Minister Modi and Ukraine's President Zelensky. Radiating an engagement that has sparked global interest and intrigue. Coming as it does, only 46 days after Modi embraced Ukraine's nemesis, Vladimir Putin, in Moscow. The Russian hug had sent shockwaves around the world and even sparked a reaction from Zelensky at the time, where he publicly decried the Modi-Putin hug as a huge disappointment and a devastating blow to peace efforts to see the leader of the world's largest democracy hug the world's most bloody criminal in Moscow on such a day. Zelensky's attack on the Moscow hug itself came 25 days after the Ukrainian president and Modi embraced on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Italy. Two Modi-Zelensky hugs and handshakes 70 days apart, emphasizing the India-Ukraine relationship and the body language of the two leaders in the global spotlight. Zelensky has had to make peace with the India-Russia relationship. Any reservations, at least on the surface, appear to have evaporated, making way for an arm across a shoulder. In the Russia-Ukraine war's third year, India's role has assumed big significance. While the West backs Zelensky, Modi's diplomacy has been lauded as a textbook example of India's peace-first priorities. As the two leaders now mark a milestone in relations and reaffirm a strong bilateral embrace, all eyes will be on the next phase of the Russia-Ukraine war and India's role. With Gaurav Sawant in Kyiv, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
हमारी भावी पीढ़ी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शांति सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं और हमने वार्ता के माध्यम से ही शांति के रास्ते अपनाने होंगे।
जब बुद्ध की बात आती है तो जो युद्ध नहीं, शांति पर विश्वास करता है। भारत का मत एकदम साफ है, ये युद्ध का युग नहीं है। ये उन चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए एकजुट होने का समय है, जिनसे मानवता को सबसे बड़े खतरे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated India was for peace, India was for dialogue and a solution through diplomacy. The Prime Minister, of course, remarked that when children lose their lives, whether it's in terror or in conflict, it truly hurts. But India has consistently followed one policy. India is the land of Gautam Buddha. India stands for peace. India is not the land of yudh or conflict. This is a message that has been well received, because even in Moscow, the Prime Minister had indicated that a solution needs to be found by Russia and Ukraine through dialogue and diplomacy, and that India was willing to offer every possible help, every assistance that both Ukraine and Russia may require to come to the negotiated settlement, to a negotiated settlement. Of course, the Ukrainian president made a couple of aspects very clear. He said Ukraine will never accept, 1, loss of territory, 2, loss of its people, and therefore a solution must be fair and just. We bring you more in this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi in war-torn Ukraine pushing for peace. After a 10-hour rail journey from Poland, the Prime Minister reached Kyiv on Friday, where he met the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Modi's visit to Ukraine reflects India's strategic autonomy and its effort to balance relations with Russia and the West. This is not the first time New Delhi has expressed its stand on restoring peace through dialogue and diplomacy. Prime Minister Modi, during his recent visit to Moscow, had emphasized that peace is of utmost importance and a solution to the war cannot be found on the battlefield.
कि हमारी भावी पीढ़ी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शांति सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं।
During his opening remarks at the G20 summit in Delhi, Modi had appealed to the world to work together.
G20 के प्रेसिडेंट के तौर पर भारत पूरी दुनिया का आह्वान करता है कि हम मिलकर सबसे पहले इस ग्लोबल ट्रस्ट डेफिसिट को एक विश्वास, एक भरोसे में बदलें। यह हम सभी के साथ मिलकर चलने का समय है और इसलिए सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, सबका प्रयास का मंत्र हम सभी के लिए एक पथ प्रदर्शक बन सकता है।
Just a couple of days ago in Poland, the Prime Minister reiterated that this is not an era of war.
बुद्ध की बात आती है तो जो युद्ध नहीं, शांति पर विश्वास करती है। ये युद्ध का युग नहीं है। ये उन चुनौतियों से निपटने के लिए एकजुट होने का समय है, जिनसे मानवता को सबसे बड़े खतरे हैं।
Modi's Ukraine visit, the first by an Indian Prime Minister since its independence in 1991, sends a strong message to the global community, emphasizing India's consistent support for peace through dialogue and diplomacy. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me now get you some of the most defining images of this war. A conflict that changed the course of history, not just for Ukraine and Russia, but for several countries in this region and the global south or developing countries. A conflict that started in 2022 February with some hope would be over in a few weeks, if not months, but a war that's lasted over 2.5 years and is still on. In the prelude to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, a massive troop buildup was seen at the border for more than 10 days. On the 24th of February 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a special military operation stating that it was to support the Russian-backed breakaway republics in Donetsk and Luhansk. He said Russia sought the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, challenging Ukraine's right to exist. On the 4th of March 2022, days into the invasion, Russian forces seized both the nuclear and thermal power stations at Zaporozhye. A fire broke out at the training facility after intense shelling during the attacks. Images on live feed from the plant at that time showed blasts lighting up the night sky, sending up plumes of smoke. The blaze was put out after several hours. In March 2022, as many as 300 people were killed in Russian bombing at a theatre. This was perhaps amongst the deadliest attacks since the invasion began. On the 9th of March, Russia bombed a maternity hospital. Number 3, a hospital complex functioning both as a children's hospital and a maternity ward in Mariupol. 17 people, including a woman in labor, were injured in the bombing. On the 15th of April 2022, a series of rocket strikes by Russian forces killed 9 civilians and wounded 35 more during the Battle of Kharkiv. Russia attacked a government administration building in Kharkiv. On the 17th and 18th of August 2022, missile strikes on dormitories in Kharkiv with a series of missiles killed another 25. On the 1st of May 2022, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russian forces destroyed the newly built runway of the Odessa airport. Ukrainian officials said Russia had used missiles for this attack. Ukraine has changed a lot between February 2022 and August 2024. When I came here in February 2022, the war hadn't started. There were lots of parties and celebrations here in Kiev, in the Krysiatik area, the heart of the capital of Ukraine. But soon, soldiers took over, checkposts and hedgehogs, and World War II style military battles started. Trench warfare that was seen in the First World War and in parts of the Second World War. Tanks rolled on highways in Ukraine. This was straight out of military textbooks from the earlier world wars. The situation has changed drastically once again. The war is still on, but now it's more in the border areas. Of course, missile strikes and air raid sirens continue to be heard in and around the capital Kiev and several other prominent cities and towns in Ukraine. Let me now get you a report of what my colleague Rajesh Pawar and I saw in 2022 and now in 2024. Thick plumes of smoke rising from a building here in Ukrainian capital Kiev, not far from an airfield here. It is being said that there was not just an air defense system, but also certain other offices, and you can hear more blasts that are taking place. We are moving away from this area. We are being told to leave this area because it's not safe to be here. You can hear some blasts that are taking place in this area. There was still some time back. There was some kind of sound. There was some kinds of sound where people were being asked to move away from this locality. We've just been told to get out of here because there is another missile fire or a rocket fire that is expected in this area. That facility was struck. Apparently, it was struck because there was an air defense facility there, not far from the airfield. The attempt perhaps was to take out that airfield. On the 30th day of the Ukraine-Russia war, new images of death, destruction and the constant battle that's on. We are currently in Irpin, and there you see the Ukrainian tanks are now rolling into these streets. We'll try and get closer to those images and get you more on this story. As you see, damaged but operational, the tank of the Ukrainian army on the streets, and this is 21st century Europe, a destroyed petrol pump. You can see thick plumes of smoke rising in front of you, Preeti. That thick plume of smoke is an indication that this is where the shelling was taking place till a short while back. These people from this broken bridge. Now this place in the Bucha district in Irpin is directly in the line of Russian fire and people Ukraine. But hold on. Be very, very careful, Pawan, very careful. These are anti-tank mines that are laid on the road here. The Ukrainian army is taking its own tanks and captured Russian tanks through the streets of Irpin. This is in a way a symbol of the army in Ukraine being completely in control of this area. They are very confident that the Russians have retreated, leaving behind some of their equipment. Tanks also move a little slow at this point of time because they also have to ensure that there are no anti-tank mines on these roads. Now, some of these roads have been heavily mined, and the Russians, while retreating, left anti-personnel mines and anti-tank mines. So once a lane is cleared, only then we will see movement. Kyiv today in 2024 is very different from the Kyiv I landed in February 2022. The war hadn't yet started. That time our aircraft landed at the Kyiv International Airport. But just a week later, bombs started falling, not just in Kyiv, but in different parts of Ukraine. And this beautiful historic city was converted into a virtual military garrison. At virtually every checkpoint, there were hedgehogs, like in the Second World War, those crosses made of iron to stop the advancement of Russian tanks. Russian tanks had arrived on the outskirts of this very beautiful city. There were bombs, rockets and missiles falling even in and around Kiev. As we dodged those missiles and reported, not just from Kiev, but from Kharkiv, very close to the Russian border. When we reported from Mariupol, we were stranded in a train for over 13 hours. When I became amongst the first journalists to enter Bucha, just as the Russian tanks were retreating after a fierce Second World War style tank battle between the Russian and Ukrainian forces. There was death and destruction all around. Mothers had to bury their children in their backyard. There was no other place since the war was on, since the entire area was heavily mined, including highways. There were anti-tank mines on highways. They could not even take their children to the graveyard. There was no question of taking them to the mortuary. In Bucha, I saw a grandmother bury her granddaughter in their own backyard. And every morning, she would take a glass of milk and some chocolates and put it on the graveside and would say that her granddaughter was feeling extremely cold and must have felt extremely cold through the night, and that is why she had bought milk and chocolates for the child buried 6 feet under. Ukraine has now changed. Air raid sirens are still heard all across Kiev and most other parts of Ukraine. Bombs continue to fall, but not in and around Kiev, but in the outskirts. Of course, on the 8th of July, when I was reporting from Moscow, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Moscow interacting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukraine was shaken, Kiev was shaken by a rocket attack at the Ahmedabad Hospital, a cancer specialist hospital, a super specialty hospital in the heart of Kiev. Several children, several people lost their lives and were injured in that bomb attack. Kiev and Ukraine have been shaken to the core. A lot has changed since 2022 and a lot still remains the same. For example, Maidan, the central square in Kiev. When I came here in 2022, it was lush green. There was grass like this all around. Today, when I report from the Maidan, every blade of grass virtually has been replaced by a flag, and every flag denotes one fallen Ukrainian soldier in this battle that's lasted over 900 days. This country, like Russia, has seen thousands and thousands of soldiers being killed in battle. There isn't a blade of grass at that Maidan site anymore. Just thousands and thousands and thousands of flags, which means so many soldiers, so many Ukrainians have made the supreme sacrifice of their lives fighting for their country, fighting for their motherland. At Krysiatyk, in the heart of Kiev, once again you hear music. In 2022, you only heard air raid sirens, the whistling of a rocket and the falling of a bomb some distance away, and the earth would shake. That has now changed. But the happiness on the faces of Ukrainians, in some instances, that's been replaced by perhaps sadness that they've lost so many fellow countrymen and women in this war with Russia. Gaurav Sawant in Kiev, Ukraine, for India Today.
Bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place. The cars, whatever they have, panic everywhere. Even militia and military is running. There's a burnt out military vehicle behind me, and such vehicles litter this road everywhere. They are burnt out, destroyed tanks, APCs, trucks, and destroyed houses everywhere. I am on the outskirts of Jelisa village, and do you see here? This is a tank turret, which is tons of steel, and the way it is a concrete floor down below, the way it has totally, impact was so great, it has totally broken this concrete floor and has gone inside the ground. Just the impact with which it fell down, and this is the kind of destructive power modern anti-tank weapons have. Right now I'm on my way to Bucha from Kyiv, and here you can see a police car which has been hit by a small rocket and has been damaged. Today is 23rd of August 2024. Life in Kyiv in last 1.5 years have gone a tremendous change. Most of the shops were closed, supermarkets were not so full, but now the life is absolutely normal the way it was before the war. You can see the streets, there's no space to park the cars, everything is full. Cafes, restaurants, pubs, bars, clubs, everything is functioning the way it was functioning before the war. In fact, if you go on a weekend, on Friday and Saturday evening, sometime you have to wait for hours for your booking to come. You have to do advance booking to find a place in a good restaurant here. Besides this, a lot of people from around Kyiv, from other cities like Odessa and Kharkiv, have moved inside Kyiv, because in those areas the bombardment is much heavy and people are much more unsafe over there compared to Kyiv. Besides this, the social life in Kyiv has returned to absolute normal. 1.5 years back, the curfew in the night used to be from 10 o'clock in the evening till 7 in the morning. But now it is from 12 to 5. Only 5 hours of curfew in the night. Rest, people can go anywhere, anytime they want. Restaurants used to be open till 9, 9:30, year and a half back. Now they are open till almost 11 o'clock. Property prices, even in this wartime, property prices in Kyiv have gone up actually. Somebody was telling me that the demand for the luxury cars which are upwards of $100,000 have gone up. Waiting is almost 4 months for them. So life in Kyiv now has become absolutely normal the way it was before the war. Initially, when the war started and the first few months of war, people used to run the moment there used to be air raid sirens. The frequency of air raid sirens have gone down, but now people just do not bother. They have got used to it. Even if there's an air raid siren going on, even if they hear a rocket falling somewhere, people just do not run anymore for shelters the way they used to do in the initial days of the war. So life in Kyiv has become absolutely normal. Let me show you around a little bit. Look, this is a cafe, and this is now midday and it's full. Look in the streets everywhere. People are going about their life in a totally normal way. Streets are full of cars, hardly any space for parking. McDonald's, people are going in, coming out. So life in Kyiv in this 1.5 years has taken a 180 degree turn, and it's become normal the way it used to be before the war. This is Rajesh Pawar for India Today from Kyiv, Ukraine.
India Today was at the forefront of the war reporting in 2022. I travelled to various parts of Ukraine in the line of fire, whether it was Bucha or Irpin or Mariupol or Kharkiv or Zaporozhye or Dnipro, several pockets that were directly being attacked by Russian forces in 2022. We were at the forefront of the war. We are also at the forefront of reporting peace efforts, with the hope peace returns as quickly as possible and lives could be saved, cities and lives rebuilt once again. Not just an air defense system, but also certain other offices, and you can hear more blasts that are taking place. We are moving away from this area. We've just been told to get out of here because there is another missile fire or a rocket fire that is expected. There you see the Ukrainian tanks are now rolling into these streets. We'll try and get closer to those images and get you more on the story. But hold on. Be very, very careful, Pawan, very careful. These are anti-tank mines that are laid on the road here.
Bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place. The cars, whatever they have. Panic everywhere. Even militia and military is running. There's a burnt out military vehicle behind me, and such vehicles litter this road everywhere. They are burnt out.